Peggy, you have written such a beautiful book, Goodbye to a Good Dog, and it has a beautiful drawing on the cover of a golden retriever. And I didn't realize that the senior rescue you and your husband have is all senior Goldens. So you have a
Yes,
golden life, don't you?
we are goldenly blessed.
Isn't that amazing? Now, you first started your sanctuary because of an, if I remember from the book, you started because of an older golden who needed rescuing?
Yeah, we had had different breeds, a spaniel and a lab and a Dalmatian, but my husband saw this dog in the rescue group that he needed a home and he just wanted this dog so much. And I was like, Mike, he's 11 years old. We can't take that dog. He'll break our hearts. We'll rescue him. He'll break our hearts. My husband just said, but he needs us. So we took him home. We named him Brooks. He was the best dog. He didn't have any faults. He didn't have any bad behavior. It just was so sweet. And of course, he did break our hearts. He had cancer, died 11 months after. I said to my husband, they were the best 11 months. It was just
Oh,
so great.
wow. That
And
gives me chills. That's so sweet.
that's when we decided, all right, we're going to rescue senior dogs. It fits our lifestyle. We're older and they need homes. And it was just felt like what we were going to do. So we figured if we're going to rescue senior dogs, we're going to have to figure out how to lose dogs.
Yes, that's well said. Because all of us that own a dog from any age, we know that tick tock, the clock is
Hmm.
ticking, and everybody girds their guts and says, okay, the day's coming. And you guys said, okay, the day is going to be coming sooner rather than later. But these
Right.
golden years of a golden are pretty spectacular. My neighbor once adopted a senior golden who was the only malicious golden I've ever seen. He had some, I don't know, territorial stuff. But other than that, and my golden Roma from years ago, they are the sweetest dogs. They are just golden sweet, like treacle inside their veins, aren't they?
They are sweet, and especially as they age, they're just very mellow. If you don't want a dog who wants to be next to you all the time, it might not be the right choice. I love it. They want to sit with me when I'm writing and when I'm working. And the seniors, they know the rules. They're housebroken. Take long naps. They only need short walks. I only want to take a short walk, so it works for us.
It does, but as the reason you wrote the book, Goodbye to a Good Dog, is that you had to struggle with how to come to terms with these losses. But I think you realize that other people maybe struggle more because you go into it saying this is going to be their golden days, weeks, months, maybe sometimes years. And so you're prepared. You're going in with that acceptance and recognition. Do you think that's one of the things that makes this an easier journey for you?
I had to come to it. I didn't start off there. In fact, after we rescued the dog, we always rename our rescues because new life, a new name. And I don't want anything. And also, a lot of them, I didn't know their original name anyway, if they did.
Really?
Like Brooks, we named him Brooks, the first dog I told you about. And he had been abandoned. He'd just been dumped, probably because they knew he got cancer. And he was older and he had been down south roaming about nobody knows how long. So there was no way to know where he belonged or what his name was. And that's the case for several of our dogs. So we renamed them and they have no trouble learning a new name, none at all. And we just said that after we had Brooks, it was hard. And I said, maybe puppy, maybe a younger dog. And we thought about it and we looked at some and our heart just led us in the other direction. We're like, no, it's going to be senior. So we had to learn. We had to, we learned really what I learned and what I share in the book is that having a dog is worth the pain of losing a dog.
And yet there are people. I've only known of one who voiced it clearly years and years ago. She lived in Amagansett. I played tennis with her. And she loved dogs and she loved animals. And she said, losing one dog, I can never go through that pain again. And it's the
I
only
hear
person I've
that.
ever met who said that clearly. I just cannot bear it. And there are people in graduating amounts on the scale. But I think that your book, Goodbye to a Good Dog, helps with just uplifting ideas about it, suggestions of how to manage it for children or grandchildren, to make it something you can do something proactive about. So it's not, I would say that, so you're not a victim of the dog's decline and death, but you manage it. Do you think feeling a little more in control of it is helpful in dealing?
Having ideas of ways to help, ways to honor your dog and
Yes,
memorialize your dog. I think having those ideas, they don't come naturally.
that's
You
right.
figure you've lost a dog, you're really sad, nobody understands, and you can't get over it. And you have to work at it like anything. You can't, it doesn't just happen to feel better one day. And you're always going to feel that grief, but the love never disappears. And I think that there are many. I was saying when I was working on the book, I was saying it's not a book about sadness. It's a book about love. It's a book about our bond and our connection. And it's not a book that is going to hopefully make people feel sad. It's supposed to help people find a way to come through, come out the other side, and feel like the loving memories, the joy, the happiness of having had the pet was really worth having lost a pet and feeling that grief.
Definitely. So, what are some of your favorite recommendations for the memorialization? Because you have a lot of good ideas in there. And I think it's good to say them out loud so that people realize, oh, I have choice. I don't have to just, let's say, cremate the dog and, I don't know, do something with the ashes and then they're paralyzed. So the ashes sit on a shelf somewhere and
Right,
they don't really have an end destination. So it's like grief not quite resolved almost.
exactly. One of my favorite things I did in the book was I wanted to expand upon my own experience. Yes, I've lost a lot of dogs, but I wanted to include other people's experiences and ideas. So in each chapter, I concluded with a different person who I
Yes.
spoke with and shared their story. So one woman, I think one of the most unique ones, a woman had during the course of grooming, when her dog was still with her, she had saved up the fur, and after a while she had enough, she had it spun, and she had somebody knit a blanket with her dog's fur. And it's not a big bed-sized blanket, but she could put on her lap and she can pat it and feel it, and it gives her comfort. And I thought that was really an unusual way. People wouldn't normally automatically think to do that. Another woman who used to hike with her dog. At first, she didn't want to hike that hike anymore, but after a while, she felt like it was time to take the hike, and she took the dog's dog tags and she attached them onto her backpack, and they started
Yes.
jingling on with her.
Yes.
Then when she got to the pond where the dog loved to, the stream or river where the dog loved to swim, she would always dip the tags in the water just as a little tribute, and that helped bring her comfort. Those little things.
That one was very creative also because the dog
Yeah,
tags are something that people who have these kind of positive spooky feelings like the dog is still there after they're gone, like the ghost dog, they'll talk about thinking that they hear the tags on the collar, which they may or may not, depending on how much you believe in ghosts. But those tags do have a real connection to the dog. They were around their neck, so they were next to them a lot. It was a lovely idea as a way to either the tags or the collar with the tags to somehow keep it with you in your ongoing life.
there's one of my favorite stories, and people may be familiar with him. There's an artist, and he shares his art on Facebook and probably other social media. And when somebody has lost a dog, if he hears about it, he'll draw a cartoon of his dog, Jack, in heaven, welcoming the dog to heaven as just a comforting
Yeah.
illustration. And they're really beautiful. He does a great job, and he just does this for people.
He just does it gratis, no pay.
I believe so.
It's just lovely. Obviously, if someone was to receive such a drawing, they would find a way to repay him. But that is
Right,
a really good way. And then there's, of course, the ashes that can be made into jewelry or
right.
a kind of crystal type thing that can hang in the window. I've had a couple of those made. Friends did it. They can do
Yeah.
with a little bit of fur. I don't know how I'd feel
Mhm.
about a whole blanket where I'm patting the dog. I might get a little creeped out. To each his own. Everyone has their own way of dealing with grief, and whatever works is the right thing for you,
That's
right?
the thing. And I try to say that a lot too. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. If people say you're crying too much, get over it. You're not. It's okay to cry. And if people say, what's wrong with you? You're not crying. It's okay not to
Yes.
cry.
Yes.
It takes as long as it's going to take. And obviously, you want to be able to work and function and everything again, but it'll happen. If there's no set time. If you're sad for a week or a month or a year or 10 years, you just have to figure out a way to get back through it so that you're more focused on the joy that was having a dog with you.
Which, of course, in the moment of grieving and being depressed, you don't really believe that. You don't believe that it
Right.
will morph into that. You do mention pet grief support groups and
Exactly.
therapists, either groups, and now online is so much more available than it used to be. There used to be the once a month pet grief support group, maybe at a local animal hospital, and now I'm sure there's some anytime, anywhere online, right?
A lot of wonderful places online. You can find community, you can find support. In fact, I had sent a book to Dr. Danny McVetti, who is the founder of one of the nation's number 1 grief bereavement support network called Lap of Love.
Yes,
And yes, and she has an amazing group, amazing articles and help and information and everything there, support. And she sent me back a lovely endorsement of the book, which was very kind
nice.
of, very
And
kind.
and it is a great resource. The book is small. It's like the size of an old-fashioned paperback.
Mhm.
It could fit in a large size purse or in a big jacket pocket. And it is full of just wonderful ways that you've found to comfort people because you didn't need the comforting as much because you had come to peace with your choice of giving senior dogs a wonderful ending. But you realized that the people that may have abandoned the dog or rejected the dog, they probably have their own guilt and grief. Even if
Right.
it's not acknowledged, they've passed the hot potato, if you will. And you've said, I'll love that hot potato. Talk about some of the Goldens who live with you now or others who've been with you recently, some of their stories.
Well, right now we have 3. As you said, we rescue senior Goldens and only a few at a time because we need to be sure to have the resources to properly care
Yes,
for them. And usually the seniors have a lot of veterinary needs. So 2 or 3 at a time. The one, Sophie, was a breeding dog at the puppy mill for 10 years. And if you know
wow.
anything about puppy mills, they're not well cared for. They're not fed well. They don't get out of the cage. And she was kept pregnant at every chance, and
Wow.
they don't have the love and the attention. So when she got out, that she was probably no longer able to have puppies anymore. When she got out, she was so overwhelmed. We have a big yard, and she would just sit in the middle of the yard and close her eyes. She just couldn't
Oh,
take all that space. So gradually, we just watched her blossom and feel comfortable where she was. And she's almost 14. We got her
good
when she
for
was 10,
you. Good for
and
you.
she's a certified therapy dog. She loves being a therapy dog. She has this. We've had a lot of therapy dogs. That's what we do with the dogs
Oh,
if that's a good fit for them. And she loves it. And we were working at the library with little kids reading to her
nice.
and one on one. And she kept leaving the little girl and going to her father who was sitting nearby. We'd bring her back because she was there for reading for the girl, and the girl would read, and she would just keep going back to the father. And then the father was patting her and he started to cry and he broke down and he said he just lost his job today and couldn't
Oh
support,
my God.
so sad. And she sensed that. And we always think, we said she goes to the person who needs her in the room, and he admitted he needed her, so it gave him comfort too. And
Nice.
so to think she started her life without any sort of love and connection, and that she's that intuitive and that loving towards people
Yes.
and then we have Pete. He's about 10, and he's our therapy dog drop-in. He didn't quite make it to be a therapy dog. He was a little wanted to play and bark at all the other dogs, so it didn't work out too. It wasn't his thing. But he's a wonderful dog. And just less than a year ago, we got Augie. He's the newest one, and he's actually not quite a senior. He might be about 5, we're not sure. But he had been kept locally with 54 golden retrievers kept in a
What?
trailer and one chihuahua. And they were kept in a trailer and they weren't let outside. So they
Oh
weren't
my
in good
God.
condition. They were all shut down and scared. Um, and he joined a family, and he's just the happiest, active, rambunctious, silly dog you'd ever want to see now. But it took him some
Wow.
time.
Did your
So,
local shelter take in the other 53? Obviously, these people were
oh,
hoarders.
they weren't hoarding. They were not technically the definition of that. They were trying to profit from them. So they were trying to breed them
Oh
and
my
sell them.
God. Oh
They
my
weren't
God.
taking proper care of them. So there were several puppies, a lot of puppies in that 54, but they didn't ever let them outside. So that was strange.
Horrifying. But did the local shelter give them all
A lot
refuge?
of a lot of shelters. They're all rescued now. They're all getting the help they need or in good homes. It was from like 3 or 4 states, different rescue groups
Wow.
came together, gave them good, made sure to take care of what they needed. And so as far as I know, they've all been placed in homes and are doing great from what I've heard.
Did the
And
people
he's
who kept them in those horrible conditions, did they get prosecuted for animal cruelty?
flat on the hand from what I hear. I don't think the penalty's in yet. I think it's still, I haven't heard of the verdict, but they did get arrested for it. I don't
Good.
know if
At
they
least
were
they at least
prosecuted.
that's a good beginning to stop them maybe at least for a while from doing that again. So was Augie the oldest dog there? Is that how you wound up with him?
Yeah, most of them were young and a lot were puppies, and then most of them were younger. It's funny. The funny thing about Augie, he has no, and that was the name we gave him. I don't even know if he had a name. I know Sophie didn't, but he has no sense of space because he was just cramped in this.
Oh
In,
my.
so if he wants to go somewhere, he just goes on top of you, over you.
How
You open the
funny.
doors, he just runs on top of all the dogs. He doesn't understand to go around.
Isn't that, it seems funny, but it's actually really sad. That's
Well,
how they had
we
to
rescued him.
navigate, like a big lump of
Right.
Goldens.
Yeah, they were all covered in feces and in really bad physical condition.
Well,
So,
you're obviously doing, I'm going to say God's work, because what's interesting about your book is you have a lot of Bible quotes in it. And
yeah,
that is that part of your lifestyle or part of something that you thought would just be really good for people
no,
to read while they were going through their grief and suffering?
I'm a contributing editor to Guidepost magazine, which
I
is an
see.
inspirational magazine, and
Mm-hmm.
I have been writing inspirational stories for more than 20 years now. So, yeah, it's a part of what I write and my life.
Nice.
And I wanted to talk a little bit just about not only about comfort, but about hope. And scripturally, it doesn't say that dogs go to heaven. So, people will believe what people have beliefs, but I think that there is hope, um, that we will see them in heaven again. It doesn't say they don't go to heaven. And I think that there is the hope that we will see our dogs in heaven, that it just might be planned for the dogs.
It's nice for us to think at least that there's a dog heaven. So at least they have each other, even if we don't wind up there, because it's hard to say where we'll wind up. But somehow the idea of a rainbow bridge and a dog heaven is very comfortable for people.
It's a wonderful, comforting thought. I actually spoke to Klein Reiki, who's the woman who wrote the original poem, The Rainbow Bridge, and she gave me permission to print it in the book. And one of the events I'm doing coming up at the end of this month is where there's a shelter called Animal Protective Foundation nearby in upstate New York, and they have a memorial memory garden, and we're going to be painting and making and installing a beautiful little rainbow bridge there. Not big enough, for
Nice.
the little rainbow bridge there as part of the celebration of the book. So
The Animal
it is.
Protective Foundation is a fantastic organization, and they happen to be the beneficiary and partner of my dog film festival and cat film festival when they're
Oh,
in
nice.
Schenectady. So it's really nice to hear their name because they really do an amazing job. And I didn't realize they did these sort of out of the box, more creative, inventive events and ideas.
Might be one of the out of the box. I don't think they usually do too much out of the box, but we're going out of the box. But
It's great.
we do our dog training. In fact, Augie's training there has been training there recently, like basic manners classes there.
Nice. And is that also where you get the dogs who pass to be certified as therapy dogs?
We have one of them did our Sophie did get certified there. We've done it other places for other dogs as well.
So that's something that people can do who have a senior dog or want to take in a senior dog. That's a really nice activity you can do with them, right? You don't have to imagine doing agility or dock diving or hiking the world's tallest mountain in your state. Being a therapy dog is a really interesting and engaging challenge for the dog and for the human.
If they're a dog who seems inclined to want to do that, if the personality
Right.
fits. Not every dog. My husband spent a lot of time in the hospital a while back, and a lot of therapy dogs came in to visit, and some of them would just do what the handler says, come over here, sit over here. But some of them, you could tell some of them just knew what they were doing. They had a
Wow.
purpose and they felt in fact, when my husband was in really bad shape, he was in the bed and I was sitting in a chair in the hospital beside him. And the therapy dog came over and he came over to me. He didn't go to my husband because he
No
knew
kidding.
I needed therapy dog help. And his name was Gabriel. And that is what got me started on doing therapy dog work.
Isn't that lovely? We know that the human animal bond is really powerful and sometimes hard to fathom how the super sensitive dogs really do pick up on human emotion and be present for them. If you look at the PTSD therapy dogs who are trained
Yes,
for that, they know when their person is even on the brink of having a challenge in terms of
exactly.
emotion and whatever the trigger is. And the dog goes to them before the person's even in anything like a full blown anxiety attack or whatever form that their PTSD will manifest as. So it's lovely to know that a senior dog can have a new life, can have a new home, and can be an intuitive, right?
Even a senior dog who didn't have a good start and didn't have a good
Yes.
life can do this if that's their nature. And like I say, Pete wasn't his thing. It's not for every dog. So if you can tell, like Sophie, because I think because she'd been in a cage and hadn't had attention, she loved to be patted. All she wanted was us to pat her. So I said, I know how you can get patted as much as you
Yes.
want.
Yes.
So
And have everybody make a big fuss over you for being patted. That's the other thing about being a therapy dog is that everybody in the room or down the hall goes, "Oh, it's Sophie." So the dog gets all this positive feedback for just being themselves and doing something that they enjoy. Peggy, this is a wonderful book, Goodbye to a Good Dog. And I'm hoping that other pet bereavement groups, pet grief groups, vet clinics that hold these sometimes once a month or more or less frequently will have copies of your book and that people can buy it and share your wisdom and share your compassion for what they're going through. And I hope it will encourage people to work through the grief, to find the joy and the happy memories on the other side. And if they're at all able, take in another dog, be it young or old, well or unwell, and recognize the joy and the satisfaction that gives them. So you
That's
can't have another dog for another however long, because whoever's your oldest, who's 14, I don't know, you're pushing the outer limits of a golden's lifespan, but I saw those
our
three
last
dogs
one.
behind you before we started recording, and they look like a very happy, lively bunch. No one's saying, I'm ready. No one looks
Not
ready.
at all. Not
No.
at all. Our last one, Ernest, was 16 and a half when he passed.
Wow.
December's ago, which is old, like you said, old for a golden. You never
Obviously,
know.
your household's the one to be in. That's like the age limit of a Chihuahua, which is a lot different. What you're doing is wonderful for the dogs, and also this outreach to other people in times of need, which is, as you said, something you've been doing all your life and writing about all your life. So it comes really naturally to you. You're not preaching to anybody. You're not laying down any kind of path. Even you're just saying, here's some ways. And I think all of the suggestions are wonderful, and they can work for anybody's personality and anybody's situation. So thank you for sending me the book. The subtitle is Healing, Comfort, and the Hope of Heaven After the Loss of Your Pet. And we do hope that for all pets, that they get to go over that rainbow bridge. And I look forward to you sending me a picture of you at that little rainbow bridge at the Animal
I will
Protective
do it.
Foundation. Tell them Tracy says hi from the Dog Film Festival. They do an amazing job of filling the theater, Proctor's. So it's really great that we both have that connection to them.
I'm gonna go next time too to
Oh,
Proctor's.
good. You'll love it. You'll love it. It's really special. It'll be whenever they book it is when it is. So anybody who's curious, they can go to dogfilmfestival.com or catfilmfestival.com and find out when the festivals are traveling. Maybe next year you'll see Peggy. Maybe we can make plans for you to do a book signing there. We'll see. Peggy, thank
So
you again for all of your good work on behalf of the dogs and their people.
thank you for having me today, Tracy.